Ted, can we do a quickie setup here? Alan, could you join us?
Sure. Hi, how are you, Jane?
James.
Hi.
How are you?
And
Wilson. Ted Danson. I'm reading all about you. I know all about you. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Here they
I know.
Jane? Jane?
Everyone this way, please.
Does anyone else stop? Yeah, it was. I don't mean it was because yeah,
you did a really good job. Yeah. It was great having you actually go out and not just be a talking head.
it was great. Actually,
Right. Oh, it makes.
Where will the documentary show?
On
PBS now. So, everyone has come. Who's the source? I think that's just fabulous.
That's tremendous. Every subject totally and they show it on Sundays twice.
Let me read your chest. It's
Put your arm down.
What is it? What does it say?
We need to get a sound bite, or are you talking about why you're here, what this organization means to you, social act?
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'll examine this together. Basically, I think these are extraordinary times, and you need to get as many extraordinary people together. And I think it's important to acknowledge them, encourage them. I think it's all, for me personally, selfishly, I'm here because I want to meet these extraordinary people who are doing things in their lives that make a difference for all those things. I think it's very important for us to coalesce these people and these groups together and form a very powerful voice that says, wait, we're on the wrong foot here. We need to start looking for a way to nurture ourselves in this country, and we're not doing that. And these people are doing it individually. And I think it could become even more powerful if we all worked together. So I'm here to steal from people. I'm here to, absorb and hopefully to coalesce with these groups. Ann Wilson, jobs, what's it say?
Jobs with Peace.
Yeah, Jobs with Peace. I think this is an incredibly important organization. This is just one of the things she does, but it's about trying to find a way to divert money from the military into jobs that have much more of a social conscience.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, my voice won't be on the tape. So
The purpose of the award is twofold. It's to honor activists who have really changed our lives, and secondly, the hope that making their story known to others will let others know that it can be done, and they shouldn't feel intimidated and feel that it's a hopeless case that they can't do anything. So hopefully with story out as to what Karen and Ann have done, others will feel that there's a chance and will follow their own goal. And Jane, of course, has been doing this for 20 years.
Well, I've had good fortune over the course of several decades to meet some incredible human beings. Karen Nussbaum, for example, who's one of the honorees this afternoon, has been a friend of mine for 18 years. And people like Karen who have committed their entire lives to trying to make the world better, most often for people who don't have a lot of power and don't always have the means to improve their own lives themselves. These people like Karen don't often get recognized. Sometimes they're not written in history books, although very often they are the people that perhaps contribute to history more than anyone. The word organizer isn't always countenanced in the lexicon of noble professions. Like, well, what do you really do? Organized doesn't always fit in with people's notions of a proper job, but organizers throughout history, and we've had a wonderful, in this country, history of great organizers. have probably had more impact than certainly movie stars and other kinds of celebrities that people may know more about. So it's really wonderful to see Alan recognize his panel of judges and award financially as well as through recognition the work that these people do.
I should say something about the judges, too, because we have an extraordinary group of judges, all of whom are activists. Candy Leitner, founder of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Stanley Scheinbaum for 30 years and so many causes can't name, Bob Coles from Harvard, Gloria Steinem, who has certainly been at the forefront for many years, Lowell Weicker, governor of Connecticut, Ted Danson, who last year spoke at our award ceremony and also is an activist in his own right. So we have people working on the cause that have been there in the trenches, so that hopefully they will and have picked great winners. And actually, we're trying to get the feeling out that there are many problems, but we can all act to try to solve those problems. Of course, they're not getting solved if we do nothing. Okay.
Thank you.
Karen Nussbaum. You know, can I look at you?
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay.
So would you like to tell us a little about what this means to you and how you've done it?
Well, I'm deeply honored to receive this award, both because of who's giving it, the really distinguished board of the Gleitsman Foundation, and also because of what it stands for, this to honor a lifetime commitment to social change. And so it's really what I care about the most, and to receive an honor like that is deeply gratifying. Okay.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Alan Gleitsman, founder of the Gleitsman Foundation. Our purpose is to recognize extraordinary achievement of people who have initiated social change, and in so doing, to encourage others toward activism. The highlight of our efforts each year is this day, when we have the honor of presenting our awards to the winners, the Gleitsman Award for People Who Make a Difference. The award consists of a cash award of $100,000 and a specially commissioned commemorative sculpture created for us by Maya Lin, the designer of the Vietnam War Memorial. Today marks the second annual award presentation, and we have two extremely deserving winners that will split the award this year. In the nationally recognized category, our winner is Karen Nussbaum, a leading crusader for the rights of working women. And in the locally recognized category, our winner is Ann Wilson, a prime force in the quest for fair housing. Both of these extraordinary women exemplify the qualities of leadership, courage, initiative, and determination that our foundations created to recognize. In addition to Karen and Ann, I'm delighted and honored to have with us two very special people who, while distinguishing themselves as actors, have not forgotten their role as citizens and have had the courage and commitment to be at the forefront fighting for causes in which they believe. Oscar winner Jane Fonda, who will present the award to Karen Nussbaum, and Emmy winner Ted Danson, who I'm happy to say is on our board of judges, and will present the award to Ann Wilson. Finally, I'm pleased to introduce to you at least one, I'm not sure if the other is here, members of our board of judges that could be here, Candy Leitner, who I think most of you know, and Stanley Scheinbaum I have not seen, I'm not sure if he is here this morning, and three members of our board of directors, Sherry Roche, Dixon Dern, and Nicole Weisenflug. Now for our first award presentation, I'm proud to present Jane Fonda.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you all for being here. I think it's really great that so many of you are here. I hope you didn't consider us too uncooperative before, but we wanted to all be photographed together as much as possible. I will have to say that I am really honored to be here right now. I've known Karen Nussbaum for tried to figure it out today, at least 18 years. She has been my friend. She's been an inspiration to me. But she's here not because she's my friend, she's here because she is a friend to all women who work in the United States. She is the founder and executive director of 9 to 5, the National Association of Working Women. She is the president of a special union which is geared to address the problems of women office workers, of all office workers in the United States. She's been in the forefront of efforts towards child care, civil rights, benefit equity for women in the workplace, against sexual harassment and discrimination in the workplace. I also want to tell you that in addition to all that, it is because of Karen Nussbaum that I made 9 to 5. Over the years, she would tell me stories about what was happening to women in offices, and it sounded so horrendous that first I tried to make a serious movie, and that was too boring. And then with Karen's urge, because she also has a great sense of humor, we decided to turn it, well, also Dolly Parton. I mean, not going to make a drama with Dolly and Lily. It turned out to be a comedy, and I think helped put forward the issues that she'd been talking to me about for so many years. By the way, 9 to 5 has chapters in every state of the Union and is the foremost, most prominent, fastest growing membership organization for office workers in the country. I want to thank Ohio's Governor Richard Celeste, who's here, for nominating Karen. And I guess I should present her with the award in memo form, and I forgot my glasses, but here goes. To Karen Nussbaum, from Jane Fonda. The organization may be called 9 to 5, but your noble work clearly extends around the clock. Congratulations and much love. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Nussbaum.
Karen, this is the award.
Beautiful.
Can you see that okay? You want to sit down?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. I have to say that one of the greatest moments of my life was when I saw 9 to 5's name not just in the newspaper, but in the movie section, combining the two great loves of my life. I think the reason Jane wanted to make a movie about 9 to 5 was probably our boss contests, where we give credit to good bosses and skewer the bad bosses. But recently we've had to come up with a whole new category, which is called downright unbelievable bosses. Last year's winner of the downright unbelievable boss was a fellow that we call the beeper peeper, a boss who required his secretary to go down to the local bar to cruise for him. And if she saw anybody who met his specifications, she was to alert him on his beeper. This year's contest is next week, and one of the entries, my favorite entry, is the boss who took a blind man and his seeing eye dog around the office to meet the personnel in the office. He introduced the man to management. He introduced the dog to the secretaries. You'd think opponents like these didn't really require someone who demonstrated a lifetime commitment to social change to beat them. But I'm sorry to say it's actually been kind of tough. It has been hard. I am deeply honored to receive this award, both because of the distinguished board which gives it and because of what it stands for. That's for a commitment to social change. When I was a little girl, I saw a TV show about Ira Hayes, the Native American GI who helped raise the flag at Iwo Jima. And for a moment, he was a hero. But then when he came back to the United States, he was destroyed by our society's racism. And it was from that moment that I decided that when I grew up, I would try to help people. When I was a teenager in the 1960s, I learned about organizing. I learned that you could make systemic changes. And I learned about the need to get to the root causes of problems. And I've believed in change from the bottom up ever since then. And as a young woman, I got a job as a clerical worker to support my organizing. And then I realized that that's what I should be organizing about. My great joy is the people that I have had the privilege to work with. whose daily acts of courage create the fabric of social change. People like Faye Hewlett, who fought discrimination in her bank in Kentucky until the day she retired, disabled from carpal tunnel syndrome, disabling disease of the wrists. Or Chris Gallagher in upstate New York, who battled the multinational corporation, which was her employer, to win justice for the 90 office workers in her small branch office. Or Phyllis Owens here in Los Angeles, who just never quits. These women, like so many like them, have what it takes. They have courage, anger, dignity, and a belief in other people. And I want to leave you with just one last story of a woman in Chicago named Harriet Topizis, who's worked for 30 years as an airline reservation clerk for TWA. Her working conditions are abominable. They've had pay cuts over the last several years. The computer that she works on tracks every second that she works, every activity that she performs. The supervisors listen in on every word that she speaks. Harriet realized that they never stood up, neither figuratively, they didn't stand up to the boss, but also literally, that they were tied to their desks. They never had an opportunity to just rise up during the course of the day. So the next day, she went into the office and she organized all of her coworkers. And 10, they all got up, headsets still plugged in, dealing with customers, and did the big wave. Well, management was stunned. And they've been doing the wave off and on ever since. Harriet says this is their way of saying, you don't own us, and that management never knows when they're going to stand up next. This act of resistance is so small it hurts, and it's so big it's breathtaking. And it's people like Harriet who are building a genuine movement of working women in this country. So thank you, Alan Gleitsman. Thank you, Jane Fonda. And thank you, Dick Celeste, who nominated me, Governor Richard Celeste, whose courageous commitment to the rights of all women is demonstrated over and over. Dick?
It's really wherever women work around the country. Another bias, Maya is from Ohio, Athens, Ohio, so there's a wonderful sort of symmetry to the award. But you know, it's remarkable that during the past decade, while men in high places were praising the free trade union movement in Poland, they were trying to break the back the free trade union movement here in the United States, and it was someone as unrecognized and unsung as Karen Nussbaum, who, working with courageous women in workplaces around this country, kept that critical ingredient of our democracy alive. People say, is there a future to the union movement in the United States? Karen Nussbaum is the future. Last night, Ted and I heard someone say there are no heroes. Where are the heroes in our midst? We're looking in the wrong places for heroes. We shouldn't be looking in high places for the heroes. We should be looking in the workplaces for the heroes. And there we will find Karen Nussbaum. And there we will find the organizers of 9 to 5. Thank you for this act of recognition for it. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Karen. And thank you, Jane. Thank you, Governor Celeste. Now it's my privilege to introduce to you the co-founder, with his wife Casey, of the environmentally concerned American Oceans Campaign, Mr. Ted Danson.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, for the opportunity to come and steal ideas from remarkable people. Ostensibly, I'm here to give Ann Wilson an award. Actually, I'm here to pick her brain and say, I'm with you, please take me. When Ann Wilson was a young girl, her grandmother offered her this very simple but profound advice. Do everything you can for everybody you can while you can. Make a contribution. Do all you can for everybody you can while you can. Make a contribution. Despite the years of hardship which were to follow, years which saw Ann living on her own and giving birth to the first of her 3 children while barely in her teens, and then winding up in a Milwaukee housing project renowned for its deplorable conditions and gang violence, Ann not only lived up to, but vastly exceeded her grandmother's ambition for her. In fact, in keeping with her endless concern for others and unwillingness to ever give up, Ann looked at her own disadvantages not as detriments, but as sources of inspiration, seeking firsthand the seeing firsthand the indignities she and her fellow tenants in Milwaukee Hillside Terrace housing project were forced to endure. She in time became one of the city's, and indeed one of the nation's, prime forces in fighting for fair housing conditions and tenants' rights. In 1988, Ann was appointed to the Commission of the Milwaukee Housing Authority by Mayor John Norquist, and was later elected to serve as chair. Most recently, she led the effort to unite different public housing tenant organizations in Milwaukee into one coalesced group. Somehow, Ann has also found time to rise to the position of co-chair of National Jobs with Peace, a non-profit organization advocating the redirection of federal monies away from the military and in favor of domestic and social concerns. I wish I had an environmental award to slip to you at the same time, because how can you get people to start thinking about environmental problems if they are not nurtured where they live? So I think what you're doing is deserves an environmental award. You are an incredible environmentalist. She's also doing this while she's, while she isn't helping the elderly, supporting the needs of veterans, and lecturing around the country or serving as a Sunday school teacher. I am honored to meet you and hope that we get to know each other better, and there's something that we can do together. I think everyone can see that this is a very remarkable woman. Ann Wilson.
Oh, broke it. Let's hope not. And it's our pleasure to give you this. And also this.
Don't let me have a heart attack right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Ted. Ted makes us laugh at night. He spends his days and the rest of his time making a commitment to the environment, and I think that's well. Thank you. I usually don't need a mic, but thank you anyway. Thank you, Ted, for doing the marvelous job that you're doing. Mr. Gleitsman, thank you for saying to some of us that you appreciate what we're doing. This is just a reflection of what a lot of people around this country are doing, and you never hear about them. Jane, who may have had to leave, thank her so much for being here and all of the commitment she's made over a number of years. And to Governor, help me out, Celeste, thank you for nominating Karen. Karen has done a marvelous job. Karen, thank you for sharing 9 to 5 with us in Milwaukee. Thank you so much for that. And as Ted said, yes, I do organizing in public housing, and how I actually got started in all of this is I lost my job. And my job moved to Puerto Rico, and I ended up doing on-the-job training at a place called Jobs with Peace. And I found out that there was a direct connection between me losing my job and not being able to take care of my family and the foreign policies in this country. So I began to work with public housing residents, because when I lost my job, I had to move into public housing. And I was going around talking to residents, and they were frightened and they were afraid. And I believe in voter registration, education, and voter turnout, because I think everybody should have a say in the political process. And I believe that decisions should not be made around anyone unless they have some say in it. And that's a way to do that. And people were frightened, and I said, let's do something about that. So, and I'm an organizer. An organizer simply go to people and ask them to take a step in their own interests around their own behalf to bring about some kind of change. And I found a number of residents talking about, I'm not a leader. And I tell people everywhere I go, be it public housing residents or low-income people or whoever, a leader means getting someone to follow you. You can get somebody to follow you to a movie, to a club, to the ball game, or somewhere else. You can get them to follow you to a hearing. You can get them to follow you to a protest. You can get them to follow you to the mayor's office. I really do believe that. So that's all a leader is. An organizer is simply a person who can get people together. If you can get up in the morning, get your children together, get them off to school, take $400 or $500, balance that budget, plan a meal, and then go to the school and ask the teachers questions about your children. You can surely tell some of these elected officials how to balance a budget. You can surely tell some of these elected officials how, in fact, to do things differently and challenge authority. That's all you do every day. That's simply organizing. And if people think about it in that way, then they begin to do it. I also believe in holding people accountable. And I say every day that you should hold people accountable. If you elect them, you should hold them accountable. And the media usually says, well, I thought you supported so-and-so. I love and support my children, but I tell them when they're wrong. And I think everybody should do the same. And so this is an opportunity for me to say that what I did is not any more special than what other people are doing. The public housing residents in Milwaukee, the Jobs with Peace, and other people working for the rights of people, working for the reordering of federal priorities, are really sharing this award with me. And it means a lot to me to get an opportunity to say to somebody, you may be a teenage mother, you may be low income, you may not have a PhD, because peace, you don't need a PhD to understand. But you can do something, and one person alone cannot do anything. But if each and every person does something, then we can really change this country to make America great. Alan may not be able to go door to door, but he's able to provide for others too. Ted Danson is a movie actor, but he still finds time to say, we need to straighten up the environment. Karen has 3 children and a husband, but she still has time to say, let's stop treating women like you're treating them. And the governor has a lot to do, but he had time to come here and say, thank you, Karen, for what you're doing. So if we all do that, if you can't go, send go. If we all do that, we can make America the kind of place that ought to be. And I always, every morning or every afternoon, I listen to Dr. King, because other than my grandmother and my parents, Dr. King is my idol. And he always said that the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in times of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. And I just go around and say, where do you stand? Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ted.
Congratulations, Anne.
Excuse me, I'm Peter Burke from the Living Group, and I just wanted to interrupt, if I may, for a second here with a surprise for Alan Gleitsman. Mayoral proclamation. Today is Gleitsman Foundation Day, as proclaimed by Mayor Bradley. Congratulations, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say congratulations, Anne, and I also want to say thank you. And I want to thank you, Ted. I think Anne really summed it up. We can all do something. In fact, must all do something. And I truly hope that people who might not have known before today of the efforts and the success of Karen and Anne will now realize that individuals can change our world and will gather strength from our winners and take step 1 and step 2 and 3 on the road toward their own social activism. We believe that the lives of all of us will be better for it. I thank you for coming with us this morning. If there are any questions of any of us that you would like to ask, we are, of course, available for them. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't crack as I dropped it.
Back up against the curtain here.
Why don't we not get Karen?
One second. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, gentlemen. He was shooting. Hey, here. Oh, that'd be a good better. And Andy. Where's Andy? Another board. Still got Hold on, Ted. Right here. Hold it. Thank you. She needs some pictures with members of 9 to 5. Okay.
Kind of reached the answer because a lot of us are going to be without interviews.
Fine.
You ready? What's the importance? What's special about somebody like Alan stepping forward and doing kind of thing?
I think it's very special for an Alan Gleitsman to come forward and recognize individual leadership in organizing for change at a time when our society has become so cynical about government's capability of responding to people's needs. many people are inclined to simply tune out, to say, well, it doesn't make any difference. And I think we can see in the lives of people like Karen Nussbaum and Anderson that it really does make a difference.
It's important of things like, well, Karen's a Cleveland resident, for the people of Cleveland, for the people of Ohio, for what she's doing and as a role model.
I watched Karen Nussbaum as she began her efforts in Ohio with a handful of other women. I watched the discomfort of bankers who didn't want to see the working women in those banks organized, and the needs of those women finally expressed by a strong voice of advocacy and concern. And it makes a difference in the lives of these working women at a time when more and more women are in the workplace. That's vital for them, vital for their families, and vital for our society.
Thank you very much.
Good.
And to be receiving this award for social activism.
It means a lot to me, especially because it gave me not only an opportunity to have some money to do some things with, but it gave me an opportunity to say to grassroots people like myself that you can really make a difference in your community and in your country. And it doesn't take a whole lot to do that. It seems hard, it's really easy. It just means making a commitment and having dedication to change things. And so this is a real opportunity. I think Mr. Gleitsman needs to be commended for doing something like this, to give us all an opportunity to say that we need more of us, to do more, to change this country and make it the kind of place that it should be and can be.
You came into your role by being fired. Now, what should the what can you say to motivate people outside to do things to try and do a third of what you've done?
Well, I always say to people, you can do one of two things. You can sit around and say, ain't this a shame? Or you can get up and do something about it. And that is the only way you will change things. Circumstances put you in places, but there's an opportunity to come out by saying what you believe is right and getting someone else to help you do that.
And do you think of yourself as a social activist?
I think of myself as an organizer activist. I think of myself as a person who is an activist but also gets other people to be the same because I can't do it alone.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
When diamonds, hers within the classic series furnished by Jules Jurgensen. Also, Tasco's 450-power variable astronomical reflector telescope offers powerful magnification for universal discoveries. Includes tripod and accessories. Tasco.